and you're very welcome to today's Thought for the Day for Tuesday, the 9th of February 2021. This is a thought for those folk who are connected to the Avon Valley churches, which, as you probably will know, is a group of churches gathered together in the northeast corner of the New Forest. My name is Ruth Crossland, and I'm a licensed lay minister, and I'm currently spending some time with the AVC benefice, I suppose, to get to know you and for you to get to know me and me to understand and develop some area of my ministry. So it's lovely to be with you. And what I'd like us to do this morning is to consider our mental well-being. Over the last few months, we have, as a group, shared ideas and thoughts and information about our spiritual well-being, our physical well-being, and our psychological well-being. But today, I want to just spend a moment or two thinking about our mental well-being, the things that keep us calm and relaxed and perhaps uplifted in the face of everything else that's going on. So, I want to just share with you some thoughts that I've had about how we might endeavour to become inspired, I suppose, through this difficult time. Over the last few months, the whole world really has celebrated so many anniversaries. In this country, we have reached the horrendous milestone of over 100,000 people that have been lost to coronavirus. As individuals, we've all been aware of things that we've been unable to participate in. We haven't been able to celebrate people's birthdays or weddings or anniversaries. We haven't always been able to mark people's funerals in the way that we'd have been able to previously. And lots of things, our plans have been scuppered and crossed off our diaries and calendars. But there are more milestones to consider, and we have in this country, in the United Kingdom, just really seen the milestone of 1 million people being vaccinated against coronavirus, which to me and to most of us, of course, is a very positive milestone to mark. I'm aware too, although as being a relative newcomer to Avon Valley, that there is another milestone that the benefice is about to race towards, really. And I suppose it's about the anniversary of all those months ago in March 2020, when someone decided that it would be a good idea to offer Christian outreach online to anybody really who might want to join in. And so I understand was launched an amazing initiative. Day to day, there have been thoughts such as this one. People of all manners of the churches, all around the churches, all around the benefice, friends of the churches, acquaintances, local businesses. Thoughts have been provided every Monday to Friday. And then on Saturday, of course, we've had the Saturday conversations, a chance to get to know somebody in a different kind of way. Perhaps a bit more in depth about somebody that you've only heard about from another church or heard about from another part of life. So the Saturday conversations have been a blessing too, as well as, of course, adding to what's been available in terms of worship, which has been online. So many people have been involved in this amazing initiative, and really it's a surprise and a wonder and a deep joy that we're approaching so much involvement after so many months. In a way, this has, of course, as a result of coronavirus, created this huge network of connections. We, as members of the United Kingdom, as members of churches, are connected to so many more people now in so many different ways. And despite everything that has happened in such a bad way, I'm sure this feels like, because it certainly does to me, a very positive experience. We know as individuals that these have been very testing times and they continue to be so. A few weeks ago, I received an email, though, which made me think, really. It was an email that said, it was talking about older people, people over 70, and saying, how did they live their lives? In what way did they have positive experiences that maybe they could share with the rest of us? And it was something really that was, I think it was in The Guardian, talking about how they were able to consider supporting their own mental well-being. And this resounding sort of thought came from most of them that one of the things that helped them tremendously was doing something silly or being something silly. Actually, silly was the word that many people used. And I suppose we don't always think, perhaps, although we have to be careful, that people of an older age group can be silly. I know I can be, and I'm fast approaching that area of my life. So why not? I have heard recently of a rector, I think, not too far from where I'm sitting now, who used to do the school run on a pink scooter, complete with dog collar. And nobody said a word, much to his disappointment at the school gates. So, silliness is something that is available to all of us, I suppose. And this led me to thinking about how much laughter there might be in the Bible. You might think that's a bit of a strange leap, but that's, I'm afraid, sadly or rather joyfully, how my mind works. So I looked up some references to laughter in the Bible, and I'd like to share some of them with you. No doubt you will know these references too, although perhaps some of them will be new to you. I suppose one of the first references we hear to laughter is in the book of Genesis, where we hear the story of Abraham and Sarah and the Lord's decision to make them parents at quite an advanced age. For Sarah, this is truly laughable. Her joy is unconfined, if you'll excuse the pun. And also, in a kind of perverse way, she even denies having laughed, as if in a manner of a naughty schoolgirl caught out in the changing rooms doing something she shouldn't. So laughter is certainly there in the early part of the Bible. I'm just picking another incident, really, and this is from Psalm 126, when we hear that the people of Israel are filled with laughter, and that their tongues shall sing joyfully, because they couldn't believe their good fortune at finally being restored to their country, to their homeland. More commonly, I suspect some of us will know from a song that I think. Was it Mary Hopkin? I don't know. You may be able to tell me this. A song that was around many years ago, "To Everything There Is a Season," a paraphrase of the book of Ecclesiastes, where we're advised that everything has a season. There's a time for everything under heaven. And of course, there is a time to weep and a time to laugh. And later, then, even Luke talks about how we are blessed in his kind of abridged version of the Beatitudes, and how later on we will laugh. There is no doubt in my mind that God has a sense of humour. After all, we are created in his image. So there we are. And a priestly friend of mine, a very wise man, used to say that if we tell God our plans, it often makes God laugh. In the person of Jesus, we also see evidence of his lively and fun moments. I mean to say, who's ever heard of a camel going through the eye of a needle? That sounds like a funny story to me. A few years ago, I heard of a couple of guys who felt their ministry was to tell Bible stories in the upper room of an East End London pub. Later on, I was fortunate enough to hear them tell these stories at the Greenbelt Christian Festival, and realised that they referred to Jesus as the crowd gatherer. What a great way to describe Jesus! Would all those people have simply been following Jesus to hear him? Or would there have been some sort of element of humour and charisma with a small c, that maybe those people who were gathered with him also wanted to have a good time? Maybe there was the occasional good party, a glass of wine, and maybe some joke telling, some funny stories. I'd like to think that that's the case. Meanwhile, back to the plot. This aforementioned email, which was talking about the activities that our older folk got into, was really about nourishing their inner child. The range of activities some of these people had been involved in was skydiving out of an aeroplane, no way for me, to raise funds for the local charity, working out how to raise their heart rate, doing something silly, doing something that makes you feel sexy, not being a failure, and just being downright silly. David Tomlinson, in his book, How to Be a Christian, I don't know if you've seen this book, How to Be a Bad Christian, actually, which also says, and a better human being. He talks about a Jewish proverb, an old Jewish proverb that says, we will have to give account on Judgment Day of every good thing that we refuse to enjoy when we might have done so. He also says that he thinks God hates religion devoid of pleasure. And David also talks about a fabulous thought that God ticks off people for not having had enough fun. He refers to the German mystic Meister Eckhart, who described God as voluptuous and delicious. He says a voluptuous God delights in creation, giggles with delight when people enjoy being alive, and takes pleasure in human joys. There's a wonderful image there of God enjoying life as we should enjoy life when we can. In 2007, a group of Australians launched an exhibition called Jesus Laughing. There's a picture here of one of the pieces of art that they actually used. And it's full of art showing people that Jesus came into the world to bring joy. So today, I would like us to consider, despite all that is going on in the world, how we might inject a little laughter into our or someone else's life. It is, I would like to suggest, by nourishing our inner child, whether you're able to juggle oranges, which I can do, only 2 at a time though, playing hide and seek with the dog, reading some Pam Ayres poetry, dancing around your lounge, singing in the shower, watching Mr. Pastry on YouTube. That's a reference for people of a certain age and above. Younger people, you may have to Google Mr. Pastry, or even checking out Cartoon Church online and finding out what other uses a bishop's mitre could be used for. Then maybe just a ripple of laughter might enter our day, and for a brief moment, we might just smile with joy. In fact, I'd like us to think about that song at the end that says, you shall go out with joy. But perhaps in today's climate, we should rename it as, you should stay in with joy until we're able to go out safely. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Keep safe, keep well, and pray that despite everything, we have joyful hearts. Amen.